Okay, so we record our episodes in 2 chunks over 2 days. Since we last spoke with you all, I watched the movie again, and this time it's much more just feeling bad for everyone in it, feeling the sadness of everybody's lives other than Paul, really. The social alienation. I mean, me and you, and a lot of it is because we have a 14-year-old and we had like some talk. We were talking to the 14-year-old yesterday about like just real life stuff. And Lacey and I talk a lot about just feeling sad for real life teenagers, the way the world is going, and real adults, and how like alienated and isolated everyone feels. And like, there's no actual path to live a happy and fulfilling life where we're just like have real socialization and fulfilling work and everything. I
think I know the key.
You know the key?
To have parents you love that are like there for you. I think, I don't know, our kid has struggles for sure, but don't you think like just knowing that when they come home they'll be understood and loved and safe?
Super important. Yes. But I think that the world isn't built to like we are, as human beings, we are social animals, and I feel like more and more the world is constructed to keep us apart from everybody else. And like work is done often at home away from other people. School is the last bastion of actual forced like socialization where you have to interact with other people. And I don't know. And I feel sorry for Tracy Flick in this movie because she doesn't do any of it. She follows all the rules to advance in society. She's not going to advance in society. And she also didn't make any friends. And I think there's this idea that like, well, I'll make my real friends when my real life begins.
Right.
But that's never how it works out.
Right. No, school is about so much more than teaching you. It's almost beside the fact that you learn things about subjects. It's about how to socialize and be around difficult people, find safe places and find your people, and work under pressure and time constraint, and with a bad boss, with a good boss. In, what is your style? Do you naturally lead? Do you like someone else to, it teaches you. It's just a microcosm of what you can expect for the next 20 years.
But not really, because I think the way every year it gets more and more that you're going to see fewer and fewer people in your daily life.
Yeah, but you don't have to see people to also experience the way it feels to work with people.
Okay, but we do need to see people. Like we need it, like biologically.
No, I'm not saying we don't need it. I'm saying that you still experience good boss, bad boss, good team, bad team. I'm a leader. I'm not a leader. I was just saying that school, the way Tracy treated it, was like, I'll figure out how to socialize and prioritize relationships after this, after my achievements. But what she doesn't realize is she's the kind of person that's never going to be completely satisfied with her achievements. So what she actually learned is exactly how she's going to act for probably ever, which is that strive, perfection, justice. And if I don't get what I want, I am going to be so fucking pissed and so jilted. And so, I mean, yeah, there is no after this. It's your personality.
Right. And, at least in the late 90s, you didn't have a life that had just migrated online, and now everything is online and people feel even more alone. Like people study this, like everyone is lonely. Everyone feels lonely. There's a loneliness epidemic. And it was made all the worse because of COVID. And there was a time where people lived like in smaller communities, lived around each other, had things like public transportation and town squares and
I always love the
unions and stuff.
I always love the idea of neighbors and being outside and like having a small talk with one of them and then keep going, and just like to be in the kind of neighborhood where you see everything from your porch and everyone else is on their porch too. And it's like you're communing, but from your own space. And I think maybe because I moved so much growing up and I never got close to my neighbors. And if I did, if you're in an apartment, there's no real incentive to be close with your neighbors. Apartments by their very nature are temporary. So it's just like, I just kept thinking I'll get that life. I'll get that connection. I'll get those roots when I'm older and I'm in control of the way I live. And that never happened because I never stopped wanting to move. Mm-hmm. I didn't anticipate that I'd be an adult with a house that I bought and still that urge to try a different place. It's just like, it's so ingrained. It gets so baked in. Anyway, I like the idea of community. I wish I were more communal.
But I even felt bad for Jim McAllister, who is a bad person. But like, he starts off, the movie starts and we see him in his life and his little rut, but he likes it. He likes his life and he likes the school.
He doesn't seem to think it's a rut.
Well, right, but rut as a neutral descriptor, just this is what I do every day. And it goes on and on for years. And he runs track, before anybody's there.
I forgot about that.
And he takes a shower in the school locker room and stuff. It's like, this is like a second home for him. And then we see he is a good teacher. He cares about the students. He's won awards. He's been here for 12 years. And later, Tracy will say how sorry she feels for Mr. McAllister because he wears the same thing every day, has to teach the same things over and over and over again. And it's like, yeah, but that's a job. That's all jobs are going to be that way. Like he's got it figured out. He has the life.
And it's funny because from both of their perspectives, they each say how they pity the other one. Where like he later in the movie, at the end of the movie, sees her probably living her best life, exactly what she imagined doing, which was like striving for success in Washington, D.C. And he pities her. And it's just like neither of them have stopped to think that there may be two different kinds of people or different ways to get fulfillment out of life. And for Tracy, striving and doing something new and different and breaking the ceiling and achieving things not achieved before. That is her definition of content.
The sense she's never going to be satisfied by a job the way he is at the beginning of this movie. And so I do feel sad. The way I feel sad for Jerry Lundegaard in Fargo, anybody who self-destructs, I feel pity for. And he does deserve it. He's a bad person. And watching it a second time in 2 days, I'm like, boy, he sure does hate all the women in his life.
Every single one of them.
But it still is sad because he does have he's doing exactly what he wants to be doing in life. So it's sad that he throws it away.
But I guess that's what I think of. I think that's so poignant what she says in the beginning, which is like, no need to interfere. What's going to happen was always going to happen. Like, exactly what you and I are destined to do. It'll happen, just not how you expected it to. And they both start over and they create the exact same environment for themselves. And in a way, he creates perfect contentment with his new boring girlfriend and his new very sad, boring job, which to him he finds a lot of fulfillment in. But we get that little glimpse of like, but he's the kind of person that self-destructs. Mm-hmm. He almost like confuses his contentment with happiness until he starts to see like little sparkling things that remind him of what he doesn't have, and then he self-destructs.
Yeah.
Which would explain why he hates so very much a person like her and a person like the little girl who raises her hand at the end of the movie while he's docenting. Mm-hmm. Just like he knows that's not in him. And there's a part of him that wishes that it were.
Yeah. I think that Alexander Payne films in Omaha a lot, and this movie looks great. And I love that it's filmed in Omaha. It looks so ordinary America, literal middle America, and the brands that you see in the movie and the chain restaurants and the motels.
I love the school's so lived in.
Yeah.
I feel like schools on movies are always like, they're too perfect. They
look too California.
Well, right. And like the hallways are wider for like camera purposes and stuff. But this one is perfectly claustrophobic and normal and correct with, I don't know, just noticed it looked correct. The right kind of used.
So Tracy is setting up her folding table to collect signatures so that she can get on the ballot for Student Government Association. And we see she diligently puts all the gum into a big bowl and then diligently tapes a ballpoint pin onto a piece of string so that she can attach it to a clipboard and lays out 3 clipboards because she's going to get so many signatures she's going to need 3 clipboards.
I'm pretty sure it's for efficiency, so that because of the rush in the hall, you want 3 people to be able to sign at one time.
And they have their first interaction of the movie because he's usually the first person in the school. He passes by her and he's like, "Oh, not wasting any time, Tracy. You know what they say about the early bird?" Pause. Yes, I do. And then he's just like nods at her and like starts walking away. And then she shouts, "I'll see you in class,
Mr. M."
Mr. M. And he can just tell he's just like, fucking you. And I get it. It's annoying.
I get it too. I just wonder if like he would felt that way about her before what happened with his best friend. It's hard. We could never know. But it's like, it seems like her very existence is just, he's like, you know what? We're all just trying to have a nice day. Can you not be trying to have the best day ever? Yeah, can you calm the fuck down?
Of course you're going to see me in class. What do you... in some ways, that's the moment when I'm most annoyed with her in the entire movie is when she shouts that. Yeah, I know. I already nodded at you. That was the end of our interaction.
You need more from me? You're squeezing another ounce of fucking approval from me, madam? Yeah.
And but her voice, because most of the movie is dueling narration from Tracy and from Mr. M. But Tracy's is the first we hear, and she says, like Lacey said, you can't interfere with destiny because the same thing will happen anyway, and you'll just suffer. She feels this is her birthright because she's the most qualified. She deserves it, and anything is stepping in her way, it's an outrage. It's offensive. The universe is designed to reward me because I deserve it. And Mr. M, explains how much he loves the job and how much he loves the students. I love when we see Chris Klein as Paul, who walks by Mr. M, who's just like sitting at his desk, and he's like, "Mr. M, stop daydreaming," and he just like looks so bashful and pleased, like, "Oh, Paul." Yeah, there's something about him that's like he is wonderstruck by the handsome athlete. So he is like a very traditional guy.
Yeah, he likes your classic go-getter all-American boy.
Because you would think he's kind of, we should think of him as just kind of a bland 90s liberal because he teaches social studies and ethics and stuff.
Right.
But
he's probably in the same town he grew up in.
Yeah.
Maybe even teaching at the same school. There's a part of him who probably always wanted to be accepted by the jocks.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only thing that reads jock about him is the fact that he runs and is, cares about exercise or whatever. But no, he's definitely like, he's more like Tracy than Paul.
Yeah, right. So he's, giving a lecture about the difference between morals and ethics. This will recur throughout the movie. Can anybody tell me what the difference is? Tracy's hand immediately goes up. He doesn't call on her.
Doesn't even look at her.
Because the point of the class is we want everybody to get involved.
Yeah.
And but like what do you do if you're someone like Tracy? What would you tell our child to do?
To accept that not everybody's not going to love it. But if you're doing exactly what it feels like you're supposed to be doing, then you should probably just keep doing it and trust yourself and be okay with the fact that not everybody is going to like it. And I try to tell my kid all the time that that they should not be looking to please the people, but to find their own people. And for better or worse, they definitely took that advice, like a lot, to the point where it's like, find more people, okay? Because you're being kind of a dick.
We get the download about her. She starts explaining who she is, what her deal is. She's in theater and yearbook and student government, and she was a reporter and stuff. Do you get the sense? I get the sense that like everything she does, she has like a textbook understanding of it, but she doesn't seem to actually care about any of it or even actually understand it. Like, do you think she cares about plays?
It all feels like resume building.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she is always putting on a type of act. So it makes perfect sense that she would like to do theater. The pleasantries and have a great day and I'll make sure to protect you. You're all safe under, like, I don't actually think she cares about the well-being of everyone in that school. I think she cares that it looks like she does, and not in a bad way. It's just she knows she's supposed to look a certain way and she's good at performing it.
Mm-hmm. This answer that we don't see her giving about why ethics are different from morals, like you can kind of autofill that she's going to recite exactly what's in the textbook.
Sure.
But to the extent that she has a deeper understanding of it, she probably doesn't, because that's not the assignment. The assignment is give them the answers to the questions they're asking for.
Mm-hmm. I do just feel like everything she's doing is a checklist, and the zoomed out thing you would see is her resume and college transcripts, just one big check going next to everything that she does and performs in her high school career. I mean, and it's probably once you see her mom, and even before you see her mom say the thing that she says after Tracy does not get elected, you just know she's got so much pressure from home and feels so much duty to be the one that like gets to do what her mom didn't do, and that her mom probably always feels like they're never quite enough, because when you see her hair, her mom's hair is like salon ready, done, like professionally put in an updo, the kind that you'd see in like the 50s or 60s. So it's outdated, but it's so done up, this like need to appear to be more than you are. Mm-hmm. And full makeup, full hair, and you're about to go to bed.
Right.
There's something so performative about it and striving and sad.
I'm going to appear the way I feel like the world needs to see me, even though I work as a paralegal.
Right.
But I'm going to make my daughter do the things I feel like I should have been able to do.
So that she actually gets the respect that I'm just trying to get.
And this, I know I'm a broken record, but this is the meritocracy failing Tracy in another way. All this focus on resume building means she never gets to figure out what she actually is interested in or cares about.
Right.
Because if she has to try, like, how can you possibly do all these things and get attached or feel really powerfully about any of them if you're doing theater and also doing...
Interestingly, she never puts herself in a position where she's doing a team sport or like no sports, and sports are key unless they're like ones where it's like golf, but like she seems to only be comfortable when she can be in a position of leadership. So she's the head of everything she does. So she's not even well-rounding herself. She's just conditioning herself to be the person in charge, and which makes her very let down and like very unengaged and disassociated when it doesn't end up that way. You can't convince yourself that you know exactly what it is to what you need to do to succeed, because that completely ignores other human things, which is like our attraction to people with certain looks and charisma and things you can't put into words, like Donald Trump. You know, like what is it that is appealing about him? You can't practice to be that, and yet he wins at things. So anyway, she's just doomed to be disappointed and let down and resentful of the amount of work she's putting in.
Yeah, and because there's no grounding in lived experience. It's all just reading about it, and this comes out in the way she mispronounces words, because it's like this is in her voiceover. Or not just the voiceover, but she will say things like, it's unconscionable.
Right.
And it's like, I remember hearing somewhere like, it's a sign of someone who reads a lot if they mispronounce a word, because it's like, well, they never heard the word spoken, they've only read it.
Right. So it's not only a reader, but someone who's not very social. Is that the distinction?
Or maybe just not around people who are going to be saying these words.
Right.
And so it's, your entire life is coming out of things you're reading versus actually living through.
Yeah.
And then in the end, she's like, I graduated in the top 7% of my class. It's like, I think I was set up to believe you would be higher than that.
I did. Yep. Same.
But maybe you're not that like super special or super smart. You're just such a hard worker.
Yeah. Yes. The high intelligence thing, I don't think they actually make you think she's super smart. She just seems on it. Super rule follower. Perfect.
Because even the things she'll say are like, sometimes she'll say things that are technically right, but it's like, that just sounds a little off. And the example I have is when she says like, my mom works for a law firm and they have won many successful lawsuits. And you're like, well, you don't need to say win successful lawsuits.
Right.
So it's like there's just something a little too put on about her affect, about the words she uses. There's something that's a little off here.
Yeah.
But here's another thing about Tracy you should know. Her pussy gets so wet you can't believe it.
The close up of this man while he says that
is so great.
Gross. But it immediately tells you what kind of movie you're not watching.
There's been no hint that the movie's like this before here.
That's the most sideways fucking thing. Or that's when the movies feel really alike to me. It's just like this violent tone change when the best friend jumps in the fucking car. He's like, let's get some pussy. Like, I'm talking about Sideways.
Yes. But he's staring directly into the camera. He has the most gleeful look on his face. This is the actor is Mark Karalik playing Dave Novotny, and he's telling his best friend Matthew Broderick, her pussy gets so wet. Also, just a weird thing.
What?
Yeah, just a weird thing to say.
God, like you've known one other pussy and that one's just medium?
And they're best friends. They play in a band together, and basically he's a good guy. We see throughout the movie like the narration being totally undermined by what's actually happening on screen. He's a great guy, and then we see him pursuing Tracy and manipulating her and saying kind of the stuff we've said about how she's lonely because she spends all her time achieving, doesn't actually live her life, and then he swerves into, you need a friend.
Ew. It's like you can be insightful and see somebody and then leave it there, not turn it into you have all the answers because you know this one obvious thing about somebody.
But didn't you say that like you would be friends with teachers? Like you'd go hang out with a teacher at lunch?
Yeah. But it was like a woman teacher. I mean, I never would have put myself in a threatening place. I loved hanging out with my theater teacher, but he was, known to be gay. Like I just felt.
But there is like a personality type that's like the only person in the school I can relate to is the teacher.
I was taught to be so fearful of men, and so I wouldn't have. Anytime I have been put in positions where I'm alone with a man that I'm not related to, I am so terrified I wouldn't have had these kind of conversations. I think I learned really quickly, like I'm putting off something else to men that makes me get harassed and get misunderstood.
She should have had a more fearful mom who made her more afraid of all men.
But also, why did she stay? Everyone else is getting picked up. Everyone else is going home. Part of me thinks, there's strategy here too. Of not like I can be a teacher's pet at least. She didn't have to know it was going to go the way that it did.
Oh no, that's exactly it. She's like, ooh, I get some alone time with teacher.
Yeah,
that's good.
But if that had, so this is where me and her differ. If that had been me and I was the last person with my male teacher at the fucking Godfather's Pizza, which totally used to exist in Metairie, I got really excited when I saw that. I would be so terrified I was about to get raped.
He's just, he's so gross. This is a great performance for, basically like a 3-scene performance that I love. He's so pathetic when he's justifying it to Matthew Broderick. And he's like, she understands me in a way that Linda never did. She wants to read my novel. He's like, you don't have a novel. He's like, yeah, but she wants me to write one. Jesus Christ.
I kept waiting for like the scenes in the movie where they show him being like a really great teacher that would explain why all the kids are so like unironically sweet to him. Like, hey, Mr. M, what's going on? Like you never, it's such a trope in high school movies to see kids snickering or being assholes in some kind of way to their teachers, and like everyone just really likes this guy.
Well, it's in the montage at the beginning with him like doing he's dressed as a cowboy, like getting involved with a skit. And then there's the thing where he's consoling one of his students who's really upset. And there is the thing later, and it's with a boy who's like, hey, I feel like I did a bad job on my test. Mm-hmm. And we see the way he's reacting to it. He's not like,
right.
He's not being a dick about it. He's like being sympathetic. He's like, yeah, I thought
this didn't seem like you.
Yeah. So like he does have a good way of relating to the students.
And I feel like Tracy, so that actually reminds me, she notices him do that, right? Like she even makes a face of like, that kid shouldn't get to retake it. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? And so like she's just so eager to make sure everyone likes her, but it's definitely aggravating her that Mr. McAllister doesn't seem to like her very much. So she runs over to him while he's trying to get in his car and gives her all of the signatures she's gotten so that she can be on the ballot. But it's almost like she's checking in with him on this scene to just be like, are you happy that I've gotten all of the, like it's desperate on her part. It's understandably aggravating on his.
She has all these signatures in this beautifully bound thing. Mm-hmm. Just one of these book report covers. You could go get it off His Depot, but that she took the time to put them in here, and then she gives them to him, and he's like, well, just drop them in my box. I'll look at them tomorrow. Can you look at them now? I want to get started on my campaign right away. He's like, okay, fine. Yep, looks good. Hands it back to her. She's like, don't you want to keep it? It's like,
Tracy, I want them in the box. I just did what you asked me to do. Now go put them in the box. Like,
but there's this other thing that's recurring through this movie, and I really relate to this part of the like, you get that the rules aren't real, right? Like, it doesn't matter if somebody printed out on some computer paper that these are the procedures, and you're treating them like they're holy, but who gives a shit? And like, that's always kind of to my detriment. That's often my attitude in life.
To all of our detriment.
Tracy does not understand that at all. In the same way that she does like earlier in the movie when he's leading classroom discussion and kids are like volunteering and they're getting the wrong answer, but he's not like turning them down. He's like, yeah, you're in the right direction.
Right.
Let's try to. And so he's like good at facilitating the discussion, but Tracy doesn't understand that that's the point of this. It's not
right.
Who can demonstrate that they have the right answer. He's trying to engage everybody.
Right. And encourage people to have the balls to speak up in class. Like, it's such a skill. You need to get it down.
That's another way we see he's a good teacher. That somebody who has the wrong answer, he's able to say to not make them feel bad.
You're totally right. I'm changing my mind. I really like this guy.
Well, that's one of the things that's so good about this movie is you're very sympathetic toward him, and he is doing some awful shit. She says the thing about Coca-Cola spends more on advertising than anybody. That's why they're number one. And then also, we're going to be, if I'm student government president, we're going to be working very closely together.
Right. And this triggers in him this awakening in his penis. And all of a sudden he's talking about sex and thinking about it. And I guess just immediately, I can't tell, like, he seems to desperately not want to have a lot of time around her because maybe he's worried he'll want to fuck her.
Yeah.
And so maybe that kind of like forces him into a crush on his wife's best friend. You know, it's like I need to get my dick wet. Like something's going on down there, and this like fill me up disgusting missionary sex with my gross wife is not doing it. I need some strange. And so I just yeah. So she does really trigger the downfall of his entire life.
He's trying to get pregnant with his wife, and she's like, fill me up. Well, that's a little later. But we see at this part, he goes home, he can't sleep, so he goes down to the basement and opens up his toy chest full of porn VHSs, which are underneath tons of immaculately folded blankets. And then he just watches cheerleader porn while drinking Pepsi. And then he looks at the Pepsi and he's like, oh, Pepsi, of course, Paul P, Pepsi. Yeah. She needs competition. I will elevate Paul Chris Klein. I mean, what's the deal with Paul?
He does not exist. That is not a person I've ever met in my entire fucking life, but it's a totally enjoyable character. He's just all-star, everything, good looking, tall, blessed with a big dick, and just a sweetheart. But tragically breaks his leg while skiing in Aspen or whatever. And so he can't do sports this year. But so he's been a little bummed about that. Everyone likes Paul. There's no way not to like him. He's so sincere and so nice. And
it's injured doing a rich person thing. I just realized not on the football field.
Yes, 100% doing a rich person thing. Jumping out of his big brand new truck and how's he driving with that leg? Anyway, Paul's fine. And Mr. McAllister has a soft spot for him, but mainly probably just sees like that's a winner right there. So he encourages him to also run because his popularity alone should make it tricky for Tracy.
Well, he's like, well, why? But I don't get it. Why should I run? Tracy's going to be great. And Mr. M starts drawing on the board.
Nice. He's so sweet.
Starts drawing on the board just a bunch of identical circles. And he's like, you've got apples and oranges. And you got to pick between an apple and an orange. That's democracy, even though he's drawn the exact same things.
Right.
See, because they're both the exact same.
Oh, my God. One's on the other side of the board.
But Tracy is so pissed at somebody else running because, here the Clinton comparisons, the Hillary Clinton comparisons are outstanding because in both of her elections, she reacted the exact same way. First with Obama, and when Harry Reid and Ted Kennedy were the Matthew Broderick to his Paul, and we're like, come on, you want Hillary Clinton to win? You run for President, Barack. He's like, but I've only been a senator for 4 months. And they're like, it's okay.
Hillary's so nice.
She's so experienced. And yeah, freaks out. How can you do this? And then gets even angrier at Bernie Sanders in 2016. Don't you know I deserve this? This is all for me. But fine. No, I'm not angry. Go ahead and run. Yeah. See if I care. The voters want me. They know that elections aren't just popularity contests, which is literally what they are. Mm-hmm. That's the point of them. But yeah, with Obama, like he started his presidential campaign in 2006. He had been a senator for less than a year. So he kind of was a Paul. He was like, people like me. Paul is rich. His dad buys him everything. And crucially, he can like buy people's affection with nice, huge parties and stuff. Just kind of something you see in the background as the movie goes on. While Tracy has to ride the bus. So there's that class element, which I like.
There's no stakes, Tracy's also spending money and buying a ton of gum and making cupcakes and spending all of her time and office supplies on this election. And if she loses, she's out of that cost and it's for nothing. Where he can do whatever the fuck he wants, just with the kind of candidates who are backed by their own financial status and stuff, and just how it's not the same thing. You're doing this and just seeing if it'll work out with a huge safety net underneath you, and you'll be fine. And you totally planned on being totally fine after if this doesn't work out. Where for me, this is the way it's going to work out, or I will not be fine.
Yeah.
All right. So now we see Tammy, which is Paul's sister, and she's, even she's in denial that she's a lesbian, but she likes girls and can't seem to find another girl that also likes girls, or at least can be out about it. And so what we see her do in the very first time we see her is get her heart broken by someone she thinks is a girlfriend, but has changed her mind about that, and she runs off
with Lisa, because they're best friends, but they're also kissing and stuff, and they've been doing this, but Lisa's feels weird about it now. And I don't know if she's in denial about either being gay or bi or whatever, or just really
Socials.
was experimenting. But
maybe
this is clearly Tammy more into the relationship, happy to put her picture in her locker and stuff. And Lisa's embarrassed about it.
Well, right. I mean, and saying things about the relationship. I mean, it's not cool. Tammy needs permission for these things because it does bring something out that society's not totally ready for.
Well, and more into it because we see Tammy drops a note into Lisa's lap that's I love you so much that if you died, I'd be ground into cement at my dad's factory and poured into your grave. And Lisa's just Jesus Christ. Right. But this is again, this is another person I just feel horrible for, and feel for gay or queer teenagers who have to risk and put themselves out there so much more than straight people. I'm I don't know how anybody does it. How does anybody do anything? How does anybody ever find love?
And we've learned from personal stuff that so often you don't just get broken up with, you get broken up with and told that the whole thing was bullshit or a lie or a mistake. It's not just this didn't work out. It's this didn't work out and you're a freak and I'm not.
I have to fucking burn the earth beneath me.
Right.
And leave you the person. Yeah. So this is Jessica Campbell, who did not have a very long acting career. She retired in 2002 and then died at the age of 38 in 2020.
Okay.
But she's very good in this movie.
What did she die from?
Flu-like symptoms. The cause of death not released. I mean, she wasn't a public figure at the end.
Okay.
Because I saw 2020. Was it COVID? No, as far as I can tell. But Paul marches into her room. This is a sweet relationship because he's just so oblivious to everything, but he really loves his sister and is just excited. He's like, gee whiz, Mr. McAllister told me that I should run. Oh, hey, Lisa. Anyway, he's Lisa marches off. We're not in love. We were just experimenting. And Tammy, in retaliation, decides to run for office, run for the presidency.
Wait, did we not skip a step?
Step?
Don't we need to know that Lisa then immediately blew her brother and started a relationship with him? She doesn't just hate her brother because he's running for president and she doesn't have a girlfriend anymore.
That's my literal first bullet, yeah.
She hates her brother because Lisa's now sucking her brother's dick.
Yeah, it's a cut to Paul being sucked by Lisa just to prove that she isn't gay or whatever.
And to hurt. I mean, that's just rude. You could suck someone else's dick.
And she decides, I'll be your campaign manager. And then Tammy decides, okay, I will start running too. And so Paul and Lisa and Tracy go complain about, the rules to Mr. McAllister. And he's like, she got the signatures that were required. She got them in under the deadline. And I love that Tracy's like, these signatures are all from burnouts. They shouldn't count.
That matters.
And then back at home, Jim is trying to get his wife pregnant, but he is not able necessarily to perform until he starts fantasizing first about Linda, the other woman, and then Tracy just pops in. And I love the way that their heads just go in. And she's like, Reese Witherspoon's like, do it. Fuck me, Mr. McAllister. Fuck me. Fuck me harder, please. And this works on him. And Jim and his wife are spending a lot more time at Linda's house, giving him their love and support, he says in the narration.
Wait, did we say that he got we didn't even say what happened to the friend and that they divorced. And
okay, sorry. The friend got divorced.
The teacher that fucked Tracy Flick is best friends with Matthew Broderick, and then their wives are best friends, and he... And he gets fired, and he's in love with Tracy. And then so that means that his wife's gonna divorce him. So now Matthew and his wife are spending a lot of time with just the ex-wife, and that's their friend. They're not friends with the teacher guy anymore. You're welcome. Okay.
Yes. In the narration, he's like, we were there to give her our love and support. And as he's saying this, he's, ogling her
Looking
ass.
down her shirt. And yeah.
And then we see Broderick drive Linda to the mall. They're just hanging out. And then he jokingly says, hey, should we get a motel room?
He does it with a straight ass fucking face. He does not smile. But
yeah, he's trying to walk the line of I'm kidding or am I? Right. Yes, unless. Yes, no.
No.
And she reacts. She says, don't joke about that.
And it's very awkward. And he goes home and his wife says, how was it? And he's like, oh, yes. And she's like, well, what? And he's like, oh, Linda, she can just be a bit much. And it's funny because you never see Linda do much of fucking it. They both have, all three of them have such low key personalities. There's no Linda being a bit much. So
I didn't even think of that. She can be a bit much.
The wife kind of in that moment goes, okay. I don't think Linda's ever been a bit much in her entire life, but all right.
The candidates give their 3 speeches. Man, I clipped each of the speeches because I wanted us to listen to them, but I forgot to put them on here.
Oh, darn.
They're all very very good.
And they're all different. And Paul's is so well observed. And he read it perfectly. Just no inflection or pausing or just one run-on sentence. He's hunched over the whole time.
I will be good student president. I'll be good for you just like I was in football game. But Tracy is giving this very politician-y, but very poised, impressive from a 16-year-old, but still ultimately empty. And she's like, but I love the way she's like, I've been, she calls out individual students like Eliza Ramirez, who said she feels alienated from her own homeroom.
But it also feels like a true politician where you're like, you got these anecdotes while you were talking to these people in person in the hall, and then you announce them in front of the entire student body. That's fucked up. That you're telling my story. I'm going to be embarrassed now. And it's just like that, you dick.
Yeah. Hey, you know how I felt like we had a connection, person running for office when you just came and talked? Wow, he came and talked to me. Oh, and then he went and told my story.
And this stage. Iraq dad, we call him Iraq dad. His son died in Iraq, and he said he likes me. So it's like that, Matt.
But it's in addition, it's like she feels alienated from her own homeroom. What the fuck does that mean? And also, what the fuck are you going to do about it?
Put her in a new home.
But all politics was becoming at the time more just symbolic, just symbols, just cultural symbols and emotional symbols, totally divorced from anything politicians are actually willing to do to help improve your lives.
Right. Let me just reflect how I hear you saying you feel. And I don't even have to say I'm going to do anything about it. The simple acknowledgement and me getting it right is all that matters.
Which is where, the word witness. Witness is so in vogue in the Democratic Party. We see you, we hear you, we witness, we bear witness.
Witness!
Okay, but...
Valhalla!
And then we hear you.
We see it.
It's unacceptable, all the Palestinians that have died.
This does look bad for them. I can see how you wouldn't like that.
And then Tammy goes up there and she's like, who cares who wins the election? It doesn't fucking matter. We'll all be depressed. No one's going to be smarter or happier. But I'll tell you this. If I win, I promise I will dismantle the student government and you'll never have to go to one of these stupid assemblies ever again. And they all cheer uproariously. But I realized she's literally she is the nihilistic candidate, but she's actually the only one who actually promises anything. Which is something, an actual deliverable, which she's not going to be able to do. But here, I'm making an actual promise you can wrap your head around. No more student council, no more assemblies.
Here's my policy, right? And then we don't know this, but we see Tracy alone at the school. And I just assumed it was after hours, on a school day. But it turns out it's over the weekend. So she's completely alone in the school. And she was just finishing up her duties in the yearbook club. And she gets special permission to work weekends at the school because she does so much for the school. And she gets frustrated that one of her signs is like one of the ones she worked really, really hard on. The tape won't stay. It won't keep it up. So she gets in a trash can and falls and ends up ripping her own sign. And this just makes her fucking crazy because why her? Why her sign? All of Paul's signs are perfect and he doesn't earn them. He didn't earn these signs. And then she goes ape and takes down all of Paul's signs to the point that she's got cuts all over her hands.
Mm-hmm. It's very funny. And this like primal scream on the score that keeps recurring whenever Tracy feels strong emotions. Yeah. And then she puts them all into a garbage bag and sneaks off to the dumpster to throw them away. But Tammy sees her and goes to retrieve them. And then Jim goes by Linda's house in the morning and they have sex.
Because it turns out, well, he probably took a little couple day break because, Linda was being a lot. But then she's got a clogged drain, and that clogged drain is hair in the very top of the drain, which is how all drains get clogged. Linda, did you fucking put that down there just to get him over? Because she clearly had changed her mind and wanted the opportunity to give him a sexy hug and thank you. And then they do floor sex, as Matt has noted on this slide.
And I like how
unsexy it is.
I like how unsexy it is. Like they're like, oh, Jim, and it just looks awkward, and they just like sort of tumble down onto the ground, and just their long bodies are just uninspiredly kissing each other. All of this in front of the toddler in a playpen. And then
Toddler's got to learn.
She's like, hey, let's go get that motel now. No, after school. Okay, so he spends the whole day. Can't wait till my motel sex later this day.
Because she says that after they've fucked and she's put back on her clothes and then she walks him to his car. He gets in the car and then she says it. It does feel like she had some time to think that through. I really wanted this for him.
Because later she says, you took advantage of me.
I know. I'm not saying that that's not true either. Like he did drop the hint that he was down. She mulled it over. So then she invited him back over and they did it. I mean, I don't think that she's lying. I think that she's downplaying how much thought she gave it.
Played into it.
Well, just that she premeditated what she was going to do before he got there, even if she was still vulnerable to it because she was lonely the entire period of the time, from the time he first made the motel comment to the fucking.
Mm-hmm.
So he's excited. He goes to school and he's a little late and knows that he's going to go to the motel and fuck her again. And anyway, you that giddy feeling where you have a crush. But there's the poster scandal to handle, a scandal handle. So it's his job to interview who he thinks might have took the posters down.
Paul and Lisa are crying at the principal's office. He goes into the principal's office and they're like, Jim, you need to get to the bottom of who tore the posters down. And he's like, he knows it's Tracy, but he's like, okay, I'll do it. I'll fucking run the interrogation. And he interrogates Tracy. And he's like, I'm just going to tell you, I think you did it. And she's like, no, not I. Listen, I think there are a lot of subversive elements here at Carver, like all the burnouts. She's very bitter about the burnouts.
She really doesn't like anyone that gets to do drugs.
Yeah, just anybody who's not trying hard. That's offensive to her.
Yeah.
And then he starts like lecturing her about how, you think it's okay to step on whoever you need to, who's in your way to get ahead. But there's more to life than that. And then she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, let's just say I have a certain friend who inappropriately had sex with a minor.
Which doesn't make any sense. How is she stepping on him to get ahead of what?
Because we see like this now betrays, like he does actually blame her for what happened to his friend. Whereas he said like he saw it as, described it accurately, an adult in an authority figure,
right,
preying on a young teenager.
But that's before he saw the sexual side of Tracy Flick, which is what she showed him when she held his wrist in his car and said that we'll be working long and hard. And then she made him horny and he blamed her. So like he never saw her sexually or could understand why his friend would be turned on by her. So obviously his friend must have made that happen. But then as soon as she turns him on, she's like, oh, even me, even my innocent, I'm Mr. M and I want to fuck you? Tracy, you piece of shit. You fucking asshole. You totally tore down everything I thought I understood about my great personality. She's the devil.
It's so interesting because like she never dresses skimpily or anything. And I don't read when she talks to him in the car that she's actually like making a pass at him or whatever.
When I think about it more, I think she was just trying to like express to him like, I know there's shit between us because of your friend, but like, I hope you understand. I want this to go well.
Yeah. And she's like just looking for validation from him. Like, validation. Hey, I'm excited. You're excited too, right?
That's all she wants from him the entire time until he pisses her off. And then it's over. But that's why she brings the signatures to his car, and she double goodbyes him in the very beginning. And it's just, all of it's just like, tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm special. Tell me you're not mad at me because you're your friend. Tell me we're cool, right? We're cool, right? You know.
But we're starting to see like more than that, more than blaming her for what happened to Dave. He's now like, you can see he feels it's unfair that nobody else knows about you. That usually when something like this happens, you become a social pariah, or people now know this thing about you. She had sex with a teacher. She's the girl. She's not the goody two shoes. And he's almost like, that's not fair that people don't know that about you. And so like, that's another thing he resents about her.
But like, people also don't know that about his friend. The only people who know it is his wife, because they let both of them leave, or you couldn't tell on one without the other. So both of them got off, but he doesn't see it that way.
Because he lost his marriage.
Fine, but he could have gone and taught somewhere else. It was his choice not to do that.
Yeah, that's true. He says, he didn't moved in with his parents.
There were no file like there. She worked set up as a paralegal or whatever. She could have filed charges, but didn't.
Yeah,
he got off just as scot-free. But in this man's eyes, this terrible sextress woman is doing this to perfectly good teachers, Matt.
I guess I can see why Tom Perrotta thought it was important to revisit the character, because there's nothing in this movie that has Tracy feeling the emotional repercussions of the affair with the teacher.
Right.
She only kind of talks about it fondly. Like, sometimes I miss Dave.
Yeah. Yeah. But they make it seem like a grown-up thing that happened.
Yeah.
They have it both ways somehow. They make her seem innocent and pure with the way she dresses and the way she acted with Dave. But then she's sweetly reminiscing and not at all traumatized. Which is it?
Yeah, she's intellectualized it all. Like, that was just an interesting experience that happened to me. I don't know why he had to make such a big deal about it.
She already thinks she's very special, so special things just happen to her. And this was just one of those special things. It takes years of being an adult and seeing your kids go through school, or at least just having a kid before you're like, wait, not normal.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, I'm just a dumb guy. It took me multiple times to watch the movie to see, like, he is really scummy, because it's in here like, no, everybody needs to know that you're a slut.
Right.
And it's unfair that they don't.
And you even see how this fucking election scandal at a random high school ruined his reputation, because that small town is that small. And he had to leave over that. That's why he left. That's fucking crazy. So he thinks she could have withstood the social baggage that comes with knowing you fucked a teacher. You don't get to go to any school without everyone knowing that.
So Tammy comes in and she confesses, I tore down the posters because she wants to get expelled from school and sent to Catholic school, to the all-girls Catholic school. That's her. That's what she's aiming for. And Jim is so excited about the motel room. He leaves class. He gives his class a pop quiz. He has 48 minutes to leave, go get a motel room, go to Walgreens and get flowers and candy, set up the motel room, put ice in the sink, unwrap all the little plastic cups,
wash his balls
in the shower. I am so fucking stressed watching all of this. And he makes it back to class in time. How?
He's totally fine. That's how you know something else has to go bad, because why did all this go so good?
Yeah. But I wrote in my notes, he's getting ice like me.
I know. Of course, I thought of you. Only I was like, my husband puts it in a bucket. This is somehow fucking gross. You put it in the sink. Yeah, what if you
need the sink? You're going to need the sink.
That's not what you just use the tub. I'm saying that you've got ice. And what if you need the ice to eat? Now it's in the sink.
That's true. Yeah. I
need
do,
ice for my wine, so the ice bucket serves two purposes. Also, we don't use it to chill anything. He's using it to chill.
I was going to explain. Yeah. What do we do whenever we go to a hotel? I always sneak off, and pre-prepare the room for later that night because I don't want to have to go get ice when we get back to the room because Lacey needs wine ice.
Oh yeah, let's put it on me. You don't want anything to mess up our chances of fucking.
Lacey.
You don't want any kind of we've got
no distraction.
If she can't find her ice, we're not going to get down.
Is that wrong? Is that not true?
I enjoy the pre-ice.
Yeah, you don't want to leave anything to chance. Okay. After school, rushes back to her house and she doesn't answer the door. And he's spiraling down the pathetic chute. First a bee stings his eye and he's like, ow, fuck, that hurts. And his eye starts to swell up. And then he goes to the motel and he calls Linda and she doesn't answer. And then he goes to his house.
But he's at the hotel for a very long time, like leaves a really sappy answering machine message of like, well, I'm going to be here. I can't wait to see you. And it's all just so like, oh, buddy. And then all I can think about is like, what does he have cooked up in his head? Like, what's he going to say to his wife when he shows up with the eye and he's late? And he's like, I was like, just wonder what he had already planned out because I'm waiting for him to say it.
And so he goes back to his house and presumably, yeah, he's just going to like move on with his life. Mm-hmm. With his happy marriage, but he hears a baby and he's like, oh shit, Linda's here with her baby. And the way he just sort of creeps and he's like trying to not get noticed even as he walks into the room.
Right.
It is so pitiful.
And there's no word said. He locks eyes with both of them and shakes his head, I know, and leaves. And I'm thinking, oh, that's how nice for you. That's it? That's all you're reckoning with is like, I'm sorry. What a fucking coward.
And Broderick is so great in this movie, so great at being pathetic, and Alexander Payne is so great at making men be pathetic in movies. And this is one of the best.
A shortcut to undermining any fucking man is give them a dress shirt that is short sleeves.
Yeah.
Dwight Schrute, him, every science teacher I've ever had. It's just a very school thing to do. This is not a look. Don't do it.
With a tie, like just don't wear a tie. Why do you have to have a tie?
That's what we were made for teachers. It's like, well, we have to wear a shirt with a tie. That's like the dress code for the male teachers. But I'm hot. We'll give you short sleeves. I mean, there's a reason why it's like a teacher look. It's a dress code.
And so Linda has gone. In the meantime, she has decided, I've had second thoughts. We had sex, but I have to now confess to his wife what's going on. And this is the final like sexist misplacement. Like, Linda, that bitch, has ruined my life. I take no responsibility for it. And betrayed me. And then he assigns Tracy the blame for this.
It says that she's ruined Debbie's life. Is that the name of the
Diane?
Diane's wife. I was like, no, you did that. Like, right. He everything is. He blames everyone but himself for everything.
But yeah, even as he's spiraling, I still feel bad. I just feel embarrassed for him. Like, and he's so incorrect about the situation.
Right. And convinced himself that he loves her and says he loves her. And it's just like, okay, well, now it's really sad.
See, Tammy, Tracy, and Paul each praying to God about the next day's election. And Paul is the only one who asks God to help somebody else. He's like, please help my sister. She's so sweet and nice. He's ultimately a good guy. And then the next morning, it's election day. Tracy and her mom show up early for school and they have frosted and written on 400 cupcakes.
400 cupcakes.
Pick flick. And when it's time to vote, I love her standing in line. The woman, the volunteer, like voting woman's like, okay, Tracy, come on up. And she's like, Tracy Enid Flick. I know. And then Paul goes in to vote, and in the voiceover, he's like, I thought voting for myself, that's just not fair.
Right.
It'd be like cheating. It's so funny.
And of course, he wins by, or she
wins by a vote.
Right.
Yeah. So what happens if they tie? They throw it to the house. I love these two dorks from the election committee.
I love them. And they love Tracy.
They do love Tracy.
And they love rules.
Look at the way they look. They just look, I mean, they look like me when I was 14.
one on the
Stupid
left.
little haircut.
You wish you had the one on the right. You definitely one on the left. That's your hair.
I didn't say I was the one on the right.
Just letting you know.
Because yes, yeah. So they're the election committee. They have the chest full of votes, and they're like,
Well, and Mr. M's being really weird. Like he's usually part of the. It's like some witch from your coven all of a sudden acting like witching isn't real. It's not fair. Like he's like, we're your good boys. We're your election dorks. Because Mr. McAllister is the teacher that leads the like civic society or whatever it is. Like it's a little club that is learning about democracy and how the government works by participating in a club that helps count the votes for the election.
And it's like, we came up with the rules, like we'll have 2 independent votes and we'll count the votes in the presence of each other.
All of this was developed by you, Mr. McAllister. You're the one who's taught us ethics and morals when it comes to democracy and elections and all of that. This is you. This is your teachings. We're showing you that we know it. And then you're acting really dismissive right now because... Are we supposed to let our personal lives interfere with how we actually conduct these elections? That's not been taught. So they're forgiving of him, but they can tell something's going on with him. But he's mean just like maybe one too many times, and I think he's finally.
He yells and he says, "We're not electing the fucking Pope here, Larry."
But because they know him so well, they even give him the benefit of the doubt. And they're like, "Are you okay, Mr. McAllister?" And he's like, "I'm allowed to have whatever. It's a bee sting. Will everyone get off my back?" It's like, that's not what we're talking about. And then he can't find the keys, so he like beats it open or something. They're just like, all right, well, we're gonna make Mr. M real proud when we count these votes real good.
Yeah,
and they do their job, and he's so sure of himself, election dork number 1, and then Mr. M gets a different count, and that boy is not kowtowing to authority, which you think he would do. No. He's more about like what's right.
Well, first he counts them out, and he's like, and Mr. M's like, so who fucking won? He's like, well, you're supposed to count yourself before we. I mean, like, just fucking tell me. And he's like, it was a close one, Mr. M, but
it's a squeaker.
Tracy took it by 1. He's like, all right, okay, I guess I'll make my own count now. And as he's counting, Tracy, who's gone to the bathroom with a giant wooden hall pass, which I totally forgot about those, walks by the room and tries to get the attention of the dorks. She's like, who won? And
how's it going?
He gives her a very little thumbs up.
Like,
it's
you.
you.
And she goes wild.
And Mr. M catches sight of her celebrating. And he's like, it was at that moment that I snapped, seeing her fucking face, being happy and celebrating. And he keeps justifying. He's like, she cheated. She ripped down the posters. It's not fair. She cheated. And I think he thinks of this as cheating. You're getting inside information on the tally. It's not fair. So he slips 2 Tracy votes into the trash can. Fucking
Which is such a stupid way to cheat. They're both reading the Wall Street Journal for some fucking reason. The 2 kids, they're reading a paper. They're the
school paper.
They're just, but who's doing that? Anyway, it's just funny. So he looks over and they're occupied. It's like, just change answers on a couple of these. I guess they're all pen, but it's like, how quickly he had an exact count. He gave you exact numbers, and now you're going to change the numbers instead of just changing the answers.
Which is what makes Larry the dork so mad. He's
like, no, we had 803.
Counted the ballots. He's like, it happens. You made a mistake. And this is in the book too. It's just so good. If like the adults are like, yeah, stupid little kid, you made a mistake.
Right.
And him knowing, no, I didn't. I took it so seriously.
And you kept telling me all year to take it seriously, and now I'm doing it, and you're changing the rules. What's going on with you, Mr. Beasting?
And you're acting like it's dumb to take it seriously.
Right, now, you said we're all going to call the 4 corners. We're all going to be witches, and now all of a sudden, you're not a witch. It's not okay.
Yeah, we were playing Star Wars, and you wanted to play Harry Potter. It's not fair.
That's different, Matt. You keep trying to make that a thing. It's not a thing. The same people willing to play Harry Potter are the same kind of dorks willing to play Star Wars. That's
course,
why
but at the
it's
same
not
time,
a big enough. Matt, you are talking about a one-off play date. I am saying we are going to go to our fucking junior year of high school dressed in choke collars, wearing goth clothing, doing hexes.
All
fucking year.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, you're going to tell me how stupid these hexes have been and now my curses weren't working?
Yes, I would be so embarrassed.
It's not the same as Harry Potter, motherfucker.
Yes, I know.
Story's not the same.
I know. This is not that. He also justifies it by saying, like, who knew how high she would climb in life? How many people would suffer? I had to stop her right now.
He blames her for the bee sting. He blames her for all of it. It's just like, dude, you're not even talking about your friend anymore. You're talking about you.
And then it's at the assembly where they're going to announce the winner. And the winner is, and Tracy stands up before they announce Paul. Paul! And he goes up there and he's like, oh, geez, thanks so much, you guys. I promised to be a good president. And then that night, Paul sees Mr. M at the diner having a sad pie by himself. It's like, Mr. M, I can't wait to work on being the president. We're going to have a carnival and a haunted house.
It's like, dude, you don't understand budget. What the fuck are you talking about? Also, I'm not at work anymore and I had a really bad day and then there's a bee sting and my dick's not wet. Can you go? And
we know a bunch of teachers. I will ask them, like if a student runs into you in the real world, like you feel like, hey, that's work, man. Me talking to you, me being nice to you, that's work. I'm not getting paid for being nice to you in the grocery store.
I'm sure there are two different kind of teachers. I'm sure I'd be the other one.
Yeah.
Where I would be delighted, depending on the child. But, he's dismissive here, too, in voiceover. I think he kind of assumes, like, she's probably fine, or how she's taking it. Or is it Paul that's like, I wonder how she's doing. She seemed pretty broken up.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
And he's like, Tracy's going to be fine.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then you smash cut to her, like, just beside herself, wet face, crying, convulsing. And she's just in her bed crying and her mom takes care of her. But then on her way out, she's like, you think maybe it was not enough posters and that you didn't make those changes to your speech that I suggested?
Yeah.
And it's just like, boom,
and then,
right there.
But then he's like, don't worry about that, though.
It's like, okay, but worry.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Like,
I see everything we need to know now.
I have done everything you've ever told me to do, including making my hair look like this, Mom. Do you think as someone my age should have fucking Shirley Temple, Little Debbie ringlets? But look at your ringlets, Mother. You clearly sleep in curlers. You told me to do it. I do it. And now I've lost, and it's my fault. And that's why, like, you can kind of see she's coming into her own, because in the next year, when they show you a year later, she doesn't have her hair like that. She's never looked hotter. She just has her hair like a normal fucking teenager, and she's looking kind of like retrospective and like pensive and just like thinking about stuff like, maybe it's not all what, maybe I'm doing this wrong. But then she goes to college and kind of undoes all that in her hair's in curlers. And
she just had a moment of introspection.
Yeah,
so does Paul. But yeah, Jim spends the night at the motel, very sad, but he wakes up the next morning resolved to put his life back together. And then he shows up at school, gets called into the office. The flicks are there with the janitor who found the 2 Tracy ballots in the trash can.
It's a rewarding callback because that Chinese food container he spills in the very third scene of the movie, and that the very weird looking janitor watches him spill it and not pick it up. You're like, is this guy going to request a stapler or ask for a piece of cake? Or it just feels very Office Space. It even looks like the same guy. Like, the guy I'm talking about?
Milton. Yeah, I mean, Stephen Root.
Okay.
From Barry and so many other great things.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
And his greatest role, Bill Dauterive from King of the Hill. And I love that now the principal, who's his friend the whole movie, Phil, but played by Phil Reeves, he's like, Mr. McAllister, can you tell us can you come in here? Now addressing him by his professional name. Oh, that's scary. So yeah, he resigns and the wire services pick it up. Now this is national news. It's something people are emailing each other. How interesting. But I was thinking, like, you should probably just fight this with the union. He can win. He can win.
All right.
We'll survive.
That's not that. He's about his reputation. He wants to be. He thinks of himself as a pillar as an institution, and he's got the support of all these students. And then the principal really backs him up. You know how rare that is to have such a good relationship with the principal. And then it's like one fucking infraction. I do one thing wrong, and it's all undone because my reputation affects your reputation, and you just fucked over this rich guy who has a dad that's important, and this you pissed off this mom who's a busybody little fucking bitch just like her daughter, so she's up my ass. And then these fucking election dorks that you made, now they're right up my rectum, so this is affecting me, and now I'm not your friend anymore. Fuck you, get out of Washington. And it's just, you can't rely on any of the relationships you think you've built. You're not an institution. You're just you're propping up someone's reputation, and when you're not doing that anymore, you can get the fuck out.
Cut you loose.
Because everybody who's in those positions all are relying on their own reputations. So can you really have true friendships with these people?
The meritocracy again. The world, the system we live in, it's turning us into competitors against each other. There's no solidarity with each other. You're going to hurt me, so goodbye.
Your missteps turn into mine, and I cannot be associated with you. Even if you didn't really mean it. And I know you're hurt.
Diane divorces him. Divorces him. And then it's a year later.
What did you think about... Okay, so I like that they show all this. I mean, you feel like, okay, Mr. McAllister's really gotten a second lease on life. He's always been content with small things. So he's got the tiniest apartment, but he's in New York, and he's got a job at a museum, and he's dating someone who looks just like the wife he just got divorced from, who looks just as not a bit much as all the other women he's tried to fuck. But I asked you, because I knew you were going to watch it again, to kind of look at this scene, and do you feel like she's working for him?
Absolutely, because of what she's carrying, like some briefing materials.
I didn't notice that before.
But the movie doesn't tell you, and all it is, and in the voiceover, Matthew Broderick says, "What's she doing in that limousine?" So it's like, to me, this reads as she's a high level intern, and the congressman hired her because she's Reese Witherspoon. She's hot.
She's dressed like fucking that Supreme Court lady. I can't think of her name.
Supreme Court lady.
No, come on, help me. Sandra Day O'Connor. Look at her little fucking thing on her. She's dressed like she's, again, doing the look of Washington. She's like, nope, I'll be a dignitary.
She does kind of have, but that was Sandra Day O'Connor. She had like the bow thing. Yeah,
that was her thing.
Yeah.
And the rest of her is black, so it even looks like she's wearing the cape of a judge, and she just has her she has her curled wig, like she's part of the wig fucking party.
The wig party.
Yeah, that's a thing, right?
It was.
Is it because they all wore wigs?
Yeah.
There you go.
No, not spelled that way. Lacey.
Oh, I'm crazy. But like her hair just all is so put on. But yeah, it's okay. Fine. I guess it just depends on, I guess I thought of her as a victim the whole movie. And so when I saw the scene, I applied that.
She could, no, but like it's not mutually exclusive. She could be working for him and is totally going to get sexually harassed.
Right.
By her boss,
because we know what year this is, and like what was the norm then, and what she already thinks that she should expect from men in her life, men in power, and men who see her, and that she makes her feel kind of special. So she's like totally primed. Then someone who's been abused before almost always repeats.
That's and congressional aides are like some of the most fucked up people on the planet, and then the people they work for are also some of the most fucked up people on the planet. The men are sexual perverts. Women also sometimes sexual perverts are just horrible. Like read the stuff about Amy Klobuchar, or was it Kristen Gillibrand? Sorry, one of those women senators who ran for president.
Just one of them.
Where all the stories are like she is the most tyrannical, evil boss you could imagine. But yeah, but Paul is like, he's like, listen, I didn't win president, but I got to be prom king and I had a sick ass party and everyone loves me.
Bitchin'.
Because he's like, he's able to. He can do things like, my dad let us use his concrete factory to have a giant party. And
it was never his identity. His identity is like he loves his life and like things are going to go well for him because he's got money, he's got a big dick, he's good looking and people like him. And so, yeah, that's another thing where it's like, yes, this is your life when you didn't win. You're fine. Tracy's life, if she hadn't actually won, completely fucking different. I almost thought he was going to walk in when he walks into the office and clearly something's about to be told to him. I almost thought it was that Tracy killed herself. Like that. I mean, and you know, like he thinks everything's fine. His actions aren't that big of a deal. He's actually righting a wrong. But then it turns out, no, you actually destroyed a life. Because I thought either way, that'd be the right.
He He thinks she will literally be fine because she's still driven and she'll figure it out. But because of her station in life, you could reasonably say like this would have been the difference. Because again, she graduated top 7% of her class. So she's not actually a remarkable student.
Right.
This was the leg up she needed to get her scholarship.
And to prove to her that, yes, my hard work really did pay off, that it was because of someone being unfair and being dishonest. And that got corrected because in life, that's what happens. Justice. That's why she's dressed like fucking Sandra Day O'Connor. She really believes in it. And it's just going to take a couple more years for she realizes, no, exactly what happened in high school is what happens. And I was lucky to actually get it corrected. Mm-hmm. Usually you just get fucked over.
Yeah. So, but Paul is giving his voiceover. And I've realized one of my favorite things in movies, in fiction, is when a dumb person is like asking big questions or when a dumb person is just trying to be smart in general. Mm-hmm. It's always so endearing. Yes. Magic Mike going in to try to get the bank loan. If you remember that, when he goes and he talks to the lady from Breaking Bad, but he's like, but I've got all these papers and here's my business plan. And he's trying so hard.
Oh yeah.
But Chris Klein, he's like, sometimes I think, would everything have been different if I'd won the election? Maybe I wouldn't have gone to Yosemite with Clark and Greg.
There you go.
I love it. Tammy is happy at a Catholic school because she has met Jennifer, and then there's a song Jennifer.
And this movie's just so good at showing you how, and then the cycle continues. Because what we didn't say about Lisa was that there's this whole montage of Tammy proving to the audience of how they were special and soulmates and they were totally in love, and Lisa's wrong that she doesn't love her. So then she goes to private school and meets Jennifer, and the exact same montage happens. Yes. All the same words, because it's just going to keep repeating. Tammy is going to take whatever lesbian will take her, and although Jennifer's pretty hot, but
see, I don't even think there's any proof that this is a romantic relationship. I think she's done the exact same thing again. She's in love with a straight girl who thinks they're just best friends. So the pattern continues. And then Tracy finally is like, senior year was very productive for me, but in the end, no one wants to sign her yearbook and she's lonely. And she misses Dave. It's the literally only intimate relationship she's ever had in her life is with a teacher in a sexually inappropriate relationship. She expects to make friends at Georgetown, but she doesn't. And then just resigns herself to a life of loneliness because her predatory teacher told her once, like, to be great means you have to be lonely.
It's definitely, there's that Monica Lewinsky parallel is there just screaming. That probably also was or could have been the way Monica felt in school, and that she even wanted to be an intern is something very specific. A very specific kind of person. She probably definitely did the Model UN fucking club and all that. She probably was a Tracy and then becomes the joke of the world because she again finds herself in a predatory situation where someone she thinks understands her finally is a peer, actually just using her, and then uses her as a scapegoat when he gets caught. So,
but has handled it incredibly well. Good job, Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah. Made a whole line of purses.
And Jim, now he's working as a museum tour guide, which I've often thought like that's a job I would like to have. Mm-hmm. That seems like a nice job to have.
A lot of walking.
I like to walk.
Okay.
And I like museums. But he goes to Washington D.C. on a museum educators conference. Everything is a conference. And he sees Tracy getting into the limo with this congressman and on-screen text that says R-Nebraska. And he's like, but I just felt sorry for her. She wasn't getting to lead the interesting and cool life that I was leading.
What? She's in Washington D.C. for work in a limo. You're sipping a soda crossing the street from a fucking conference.
And then
loser.
He gets angry and starts getting himself worked up, and then throws the Pepsi, and then turns around and runs away.
Throws the Pepsi at the limo. The limo stops and goes, "What the fuck?" And then.
And the final scene of the movie is he's recreating exactly his lesson from the beginning of the movie. It was like, there's igneous rock and sedimentary rock. What's the difference between igneous and sedimentary anyway? Anyone? And then the little anxious little girl raises her hand.
With bangs.
And he doesn't, and his eyes dart and look at other people. Anyone?
Fuck this child. Fuck this stupid know-it-all.
Is the anyone, is that supposed to be a Ferris Bueller
I don't know.
reference?
I don't care.
don't care? How can you not care?
I just don't care.